welcome to Cubits Education. In this lesson, we are going to learn conversion for functional skills maths. Our objectives for today are to learn the units of measure that you need to know off by heart and understand what these look like and what they mean. We're going to use these units of measure to convert between different measurements. We're then going to learn about the units of measure you'll be given in the exam. So not necessarily the ones you need to know by heart, but different measurements that you'll be given and expected to use. We'll use these units of measure to convert between measurements as well, looking at exam questions as we go. Finally, we will look at using a conversion graph. So, let's get started. Here is a 15 centimetre ruler. Each of those large lines represent 1 centimetre. You might have seen 30 centimetre rulers like this or 15 centimetre rulers like this when you were at school. Okay, now if we have a look at my 15 centimetre ruler at the top, which I've tried to make fairly accurate, we can see that inside each centimetre we have these smaller lines. And if I counted every single one of those lines from 0, just from there, and I counted along and I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So once I got to my 10th line, I'm at 1 centimetre. That means, so each of those small lines are called millimetres. That means that 10 of those smaller lines make up a centimetre. So although we have centimetres and we need to be able to work with them, we also need to remember that 1 centimetre is the same as 10 millimetres because those small lines are millimetres. Okay? Now, the next thing you need to know is that if we took our centimetres, so let me just get rid of these little lines. If we took our centimetres, a whole centimetre like this one, okay, and we put 100 of them in a line, okay, and if anything, that means we could times it by 100, okay. We put 100 of them in a row. That makes 1 metre. So the other measurement that you need to remember is that 1 metre is the same as, or is equivalent to, 100 centimetres, okay. So be very careful. This is why I'm trying to get you to visualise these, because it helps you to remember what they are. So the first measurement you need to remember is 1 centimetre is the same as 10 millimetres, because you have 10 small lines before you get to a centimetre. And then when we put 100 of these centimetres together, that's the same as 1 metre. Now, cent means 100, so 100 centimetres is 1 metre. Okay? It's also a good way of remembering it. Now, finally, another one that you are expected to know is if we took a metre and we put 1,000 of those together, we would call that a kilometre. Okay, kilometre, if I spell that for you. Kilo means 1,000. So that might remind you that 1,000 metres is a kilometre. And the final one that you need to know in terms of metres, centimetres and kilometres is that 1 kilometre is the same as 1,000 metres. So make sure you try and remember all of these then. 1 kilometre is 1,000 metres, 1 metre is 100 centimetres, and 1 centimetre is 10 millimetres. Okay? Okay, so let's just have a little go at using these then. I've written them all down here, just to help you remember for now. Again, the smaller ones are the millimetres going into the centimetre, and then you've got the centimetres going into a metre, and the metres going into a kilometre. Now, if you can remember those conversions, you might know them already. Then you can convert different measurements. And I'm going to show you a way of doing that now. So we have the first question. What is 72 centimetres in millimetres? Now, you might think, okay, well, that's quite an easy one. But in case you don't, I'm going to show you a method that works with every single measurement that you get asked. Okay. Now, because we are talking about centimetres into millimetres, this is the conversion that we need to use. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it down here. 1 centimetre equals 10 millimetres. Now, when we're doing this method, we must make sure that we put the 1 on this side, where I've put it here. Okay, the 1 must be there. And I can draw some arrows, and they must go clockwise. They must go in this direction. Okay, this one. Times goes at the top and divide goes at the bottom. Now I know that, again, this might be an easy one and you might have already done it, but if I show you this method now, you'll be able to use it with any conversion question you get asked. So please pay attention and listen to this now, and then you'll be able to use it later for more difficult questions. Okay? So I've written out my conversion and I've done my times and divide. And the question is asking me to convert 72 centimetres into millimetres. So that means I'm in centimetres, I'm this side of my conversion, and I want to get to millimetres. So I'm going to have to go this way, which means I'm going to times. And I'm always going to times by this number on this side. Okay? So I'm going to times by 10. 72 times 10. So that gives me 720 millimetres. Okay? Now, let's change the colour for a second, because my next question asks me what 72 centimetres is in metres. Okay? 72 centimetres in metres. Well, for this question, I need to use this conversion. Okay? Well, if 1 metre equals 100 centimetres, what is 72 centimetres in metres? So I can write down 1 metre equals 100 centimetres. I can draw my arrows, and I can put times at the top and divide at the bottom. Again, my one is on this side, and the conversion is on this side. Okay? 72 centimetres in metres. Well, I'm actually in centimetres this time. So I'm on this side of the conversion, which means I'm going to need to divide because I want to get to metres. It's asking me for the answer in metres. But I always divide by the conversion. Okay, we can't divide by 1. It would give us the same answer. So I'm going to take my 72 centimetres and I'm going to divide by 100. Okay, now, if you want to go back and watch another video that I've made on multiplying and dividing by 100 or 10, 100 and 1,000, then I would go ahead and do that. But just quickly, if I'm going to do 72 divided by 100, I'm just going to take my decimal point back 2 places and it would end up there. So my answer would be 0.72 metres. Common sense would tell us that it wouldn't be a whole metre because I need 100 centimetres for that. And I don't have 100 centimetres, I only have 72. Okay? Let's do another one. I don't want to use that colour. Green. So for question 3, 675 metres in centimetres. Okay? Now I can use the same conversion table, this same one. Okay, but this time I'm in metres, I'm here. And I want to get to centimetres. So I'm going to multiply this time because I need to get to centimetres. So I'm going to take my 675 metres and I'm going to times by my conversion factor. Times by 100. Again, when I times by 100, I move my decimal point 2 places, which means I would have 2 zeros on the end. please go back and watch my video if you're struggling with this. So my answer is 67,500 centimeters. Okay, now it would be a lot because 1 meter is 100 centimeters and I've got 675 of them. Okay. Okay, now let's do another one. We're getting a bit trickier now. I want to know what 675 meters is in millimeters now. Millimeters. Let me change my colour again. Okay. So with this question, number 4, we already know what 675 meters is in centimeters. We've just worked it out here. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to convert that now to millimeters. And I can use this conversion chart because I'm already in centimeters. So sometimes when it's giving you a really, really high amount, like 675 meters, and they want you to put it into a smaller amount, like millimeters, it's best to convert to centimeters first and then to convert to millimeters afterwards. Okay? So I've already converted it to centimeters using this conversion. And now I'm going to convert it to millimeters. So 67,500 centimeters means that I'll be on this side, if we're looking at this top one, okay, I'm going to be on this side of my conversion chart. I'm going to take my 67,500, and if I'm going to millimeters, I'm going to have to times by 10, okay? So 67,500 times by 10 equals, and if we just write out the number and then we just need to put an extra 0 on the end because 10 just has 1 0, so when we times by 10 we add another 0. Okay, and if we write that out properly, it would be 675,000 millimeters, and that's quite a lot. Okay. Okay, so we've gone quite tricky. I hope you're understanding everything so far. What we're going to do now is we are going to move from, we're going to do question 5. Let me find another colour. I'm running out of colours. I'm going to have to use this one. Question 5, 200 millimetres to centimetres. Again, we've got our conversion chart for millimetres and centimetres up here. Okay, I hope you saw my arrow drawing that there. It's this one. Okay, and this time we're in millimetres. And can you see 200 millimetres and we want to go to centimetres. So if we're in millimetres and we want to go to centimetres, we're going to divide. Okay, divide by the conversion factor, which is still 10. Always, always, always will be 10. 200, to write it underneath, divided by 10 is 20. Nice and easy one there. 20 centimetres. Okay. And then the last one, which again I'm going to try and do in maybe in orange now because those highlighters are too thick. The last one is asking you to convert 200 millimetres to metres. Well, you've already converted it to centimetres there. Okay. So again, we're going to use this one again now, this conversion. Okay, this one, if you didn't see my arrow pointing, we're going to use this one. Your 20 centimetres just need to go into metres. All right, so we're in centimetres. If I use a highlighter, you'll probably be able to see a bit better. We're in centimetres, and we're going to go to metres. So we're going to divide by 100. 20, because we're in centimetres, we've just converted it, divided by 100. Okay, and that'll give us 0.2. meters. Okay, so I hope that was clear. Don't forget, the reason that I only did one conversion for this last one is because we'd already converted it to centimeters, and to go from centimeters to meters, it's really easy, and we needed meters. Okay, so that looks like a lot of numbers, and I hope you've kept up. I've done a lot of colours there. Please let me know if you struggled with that, and I'll try and do an extra video on understanding. Okay, let's move on to another type of measurement that you're going to need to know. So as we can see here, we have a jug of millilitres, and as we go up in millilitres, we can see at the top there is 1 litre there. So that means that if you can see here, we've got 100 ml, and then 200, and then 300, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 900 ml, and then we get to a litre. So a litre must be 1,000 millilitres. Okay, so you need to remember that 1 litre is the same as 1,000 millilitres. Okay. Then the other one that you need to know, so if we look at this set of scales, we can see that we have 0, and then we're going around in grams. We have 100 grams, 200, 300, and if we keep going around, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 900, and then to a kilogram. Remember, kilometre was 1,000 metres, so a kilogram is 1,000 grams. Okay, so 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. So those are the other two measurements that you need to remember. These ones aren't so bad because you've not got some tiny ones that you need to work with as well. So let's have a go at using these conversions then. Here are the two conversions we've just looked at. 1 litre is 1,000 ml, and 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. Here's some questions. What is 2 litres in millilitres? Okay, well, we should be able to do that one quite easily because we know that 1 litre is 1,000. So 2 litres must be 2,000. Okay. Now, if you wanted to use the conversion chart, like I showed you previously, 1 litre equals 1,000 ml. Okay. Remember, we do our arrows. We have times and divide. Times at the top. Remember that arrows must go in a clockwise direction. Okay. And we have got 2 litres. We're trying to turn 2 litres into mil. So that means you're on this side of the conversion. And we want to get over to here, to millilitres. So we're going to multiply. And we always multiply by this number, the conversion factor. So we have 2 litres, and we're going to times it by 1,000. And that equals 2,000 mil. That makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so we've already got that one, that's fine. Now, if we just scale back a second, I want to just write that a bit further down. Okay, so 2 times 1,000 gave us 2,000 mil. That was for question 1. Now, if we look at question 2, we're going to use the conversion chart again because you've now got 2.75 litres in mil. Okay, so for question 2, you've now got 2.5 litres. So again, let's just change my colour. So again, we're still at this side, okay? We're still this side, and we still want to get to millilitres over here. All right. So we've still got to times by 1,000. So we need to take our 2.75 and we're going to times it by 1,000. Again, please go back and watch the video on multiplying by 10, 100 and 1,000 if you're not sure. But I'll quickly show you. If we're timesing by 1,000, we move our decimal point 3 places to the right. 1, 2, 3. And because there's a spare archway, That means there'll be a 0 there. So it'd be 2750 because your decimal point ends up there. And that is millilitres. Okay. Okay, so hopefully that's not too difficult for you so far. Let's move on to question number 3. Okay. Now, question number 3 says that I want to go from millilitres to litres, which means we're going to do the opposite now. So I'm still using the same colour because I've got a feeling I'm going to run out of colours if I don't. Question 3, you're in millilitres this time, which means you're on this side of the conversion. And we want to go to litres, which means we're going to need to go over here, which means we're going to divide. We're going to take our 457 and we're going to divide by 1,000 this time. We're doing the opposite. Now again, when we divide, I'll show you, we go back the other way to the left 3 decimal places because it's 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. Your decimal point ends up there and you must put a 0 in front. So your answer would be 0.457 litres. Okay. Now that makes sense because you need 1,000 millilitres to make 1 litre, and we only have 457 of them. So you wouldn't have a whole litre. Okay. And then finally, question 4. We have 3,456 millilitres, and we're going to litres. So again, we are on this side of the conversion, and we need to go over to this side, which means we need to divide. We're going to do exactly the same again. We're going to divide. We're going to take our 3,000. Oops, I can't fit it on. Let me do it up here. We're going to take our 3,456 and we're going to divide by 1,000. Okay. Again, if I wrote that down like this, we would go back 1, 2, 3, and your decimal point would end up there, which means your final answer would be 3.456 litres. Which again makes sense because you've got 3,000 of them and then 456 as well. So 3 litres and then 0.456 of a litre. Or you could say 3 litres and 456 millilitres. Okay. Okay, so we have done the first 4 then, doing millilitres to litres and vice versa. So make sure you've got all those notes down, and I'm going to rub them out and we're going to do the last 4, which is kilograms and grams. Okay, so pause the video if you need to and get those notes down. Okay. Let's do grams and kilograms then. Tell you what I will do though, just for your benefit, is write the answers in here. You'll come to realise that once you've done it quite a few times, you'll see a pattern. And it won't be so difficult. Okay, what we're going to do now then is I'm going to change my colour and we're going to do grams and kilograms. So let's do question 5. Now, question 5 is quite easy. Your conversion is here, look. 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams, just to remind you. And we've got 5 kilograms. Well, if 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams, then 5 kilograms must be 5,000 grams. Okay? However, again, if you wanted to use the conversion chart, we would write down 1 kilogram equals 1,000 grams. And we would draw our arrows like so. Times at the top, divide at the bottom. Remember, the arrows must go clockwise, the way of a clock. Yeah? The clock goes around this way. So the arrows must point in those directions. And I want to convert 5 kg here to grams. So I'm in kilograms and I need to go to grams. So I've got to go this way and I'm going to have to times by 1,000. So I'm just going to do 5 times 1,000, which we should all know is 5,000. Okay? For question number 2, and I'll use green, it says, for question number 6 rather, it says 6.72 kilograms in grams. So again, we are on this side, we're in kilograms, and we want to get to this side, to grams. So again, we have to times. We're going to take our 6.72 and we're going to times by 1,000. Okay? Again, if you want to see how that's done, when we times, we move 3 places, because it's 1,000, to the right. 1, 2, and 3. There's a spare archway, so a 0 must go in there, and our decimal point would be there. So remember, this decimal point disappears now because it's moved to here. So our final answer is 6,720 grams. Okay? Please make sure you are learning how to multiply and divide by 10, 100 and 1,000 without a calculator. It's very important. Okay, question 7. I can't count today, can I? Question 7. Do I have any other colours that I could use? Not really. I've used red and black's not going to work, is it? Let's go back to blue then. So question 7. This time we're going to go from grams to kilograms, which means we're going to do the opposite of what we have been doing. 560 grams in kilograms. So that means we're on this side of the conversion because we're in grams, 560 grams. And we want to get to kilograms, so I need to go this way, which means this time I need to divide by 1,000. Remember, we always multiply and divide by this number. We never do it by 1, just won't work. So we're going to take our 560 and we're going to divide by 1,000. Okay, remember when we divide, we go backwards 3 places, 1, 2, and 3. Our decimal point ends up there, which means we need to put a 0 in front of it. So our final answer would be 0.56. You can put the 0 on the end as well if you want to, from this 0 there. But you don't have to if you don't want to, because it's a 0, it doesn't really mean anything. So you can just say 0.56 kg. Okay. And our last one, question 8. 8,543 grams in kilograms. We're going to go from this side as we've just been doing. Okay, we're in grams, 8,543, and we need to get to kilograms. So we're going to divide by 1,000. Okay, so let me write that here. 8,543 divided by 1,000. And again, when we divide, we go back 3 decimal places, 1, 2, and 3. So 8.543 kg. And we must keep all the numbers in there because none of them are zeros. Here, I said you could take the 0 out at the bottom just there. Okay, but tell you what, I'll highlight it for you. I said you could take the 0 out just there, but in this case, we can't because they're all numbers. Okay, we can only take out zeros. All right, so we have our final answers then. Let's put 0.56 kg there for that one. And this one's 8.543 kg for that one. Okay, so again, you're using the same conversion chart for every single one of them. And it just reminds you of what you've got to do, whether you've got to multiply or divide. Some people get a bit confused. Okay, but again, once you've done quite a few of them, you will notice a pattern and you can get some practice with the resources that go along with this. Okay, let's move on then. We're going to have a look now at some questions that you might be given in the exams. So this question, you might get something a little bit like this. Now, this question could be a question where they're asking you to estimate the answer, or it could be a question where they actually want you to calculate the real thing. So if it was an estimate question, okay, I'm going to use green because I quite like green. No, I'm not. I'm going to use yellow or orange. Okay, if it was an estimate question, all right, and it said estimate what 10 litres is in gallons. Well, it tells us that 1 gallon is 4.54 litres. Okay, just there. So if it was to estimate, we could say, okay, well, 1 gallon, I could say is 5 litres, because I'm estimating. You will find that some of these questions in functional skills will ask you to estimate, which means to round up the number and make it a bit easier for yourself, really. So if I know that 1 gallon is 5 litres, the question is asking me what is 10 litres in gallons. Well, I know that if I double this, it gives me 10 litres. So I could also double this. So as an estimate, 10 litres is the same as 2 gallons. Okay. All right. And that was an estimation question in one of the most recent City and Guilds papers. And that gave you a multiple choice answer. So it was actually all right. It wasn't a bad question. Now, if it wasn't an estimation question and it wanted you to tell me exactly, we could say, okay, well, I know that 1 gallon is equal to 4.546 litres. That's what it's told me. Okay. And if I wanted to work it out exactly, I can draw my arrows and I can put times at the top, divide at the bottom. I want to know what 10 litres is. 10 litres. Okay. That means if I grab a different colour, that we're on this side, we're in litres, remember, 10 litres, that's what they've asked us for. And I want to know what it is in gallons, so I'm going to have to go this way to get to gallons, which means I'm going to have to divide. And remember, we always divide by the conversion. So I'm going to take 10 and I'm going to divide it by by 4.546. So this would then be on a calculator paper or a calculator section if it wasn't an estimate. If it was an estimate, it would be on the non-calculator. And if I put that into my calculator, it would give me 2.19973. So what I would say is that it'd be about 2.2, because I'm going to round it up. So 2.2 gallons, exactly. Okay, so you've used your conversion chart again to help you to convert it exactly. Okay, let's try another question. You might get a question like this where it tells you that 1 foot equals 12 inches. Now, instead of using the conversion for this one, it would be quite easy to do this without. So it says that John is 5 foot 6 inches tall. What is this in feet? Okay. Well, it tells us here that 1 foot is 12 inches. Okay. We've already got 5 feet here. 5 feet. If 1 foot equals 12 inches, and I want to get to 5 feet, I just need to times this by 5. Okay. 12 times 5 is 60. So I already know that this section, this 5 feet section, is 60 inches. It actually says he's 5 foot 6 inches tall. So we just need to add 6 to this. And in total, he is 66 inches tall. Okay. If you wanted to use the conversion chart, okay, you still wouldn't need to use it for the 6 inches section. You just need to use it for the 5 feet bit. So again, 1 foot is 12 inches. And we would draw our arrows in and do our times and divide like we did before. If I want to know what 5 feet are in inches, I'm on this side of my conversion. And I want to get to inches, which means I'm going to have to times. So I'd take my 5, which is in the question, and I would times it by the conversion factor, remember, which is always on that side. And that is 60. If this was on the calculator paper, then obviously you can use the calculator to do that. But if you need to do 12 times 5, we can write it like this. Okay, and we can do 2 times 5, which is 10, and put a 0 there and carry the 1. And 1 times 5, which is 5, and then add this 1, which makes 6. Okay, so we can work that out without a calculator. There's also a video on multiplying and dividing using different methods without a calculator, so please go back and check that if you are a little bit worried about doing that. Okay, another one then. Now we're getting a little bit trickier here. Leanne needs bottles of water for the people at the training day. So she's obviously having a training day and she needs some bottles of water for this. I'm just going to highlight as we go. Each bottle contains 2 litres of water. There will be 13 people and every person will have 3 glasses of water. Each full glass holds 250 ml. Okay. Leanne thinks she will need 5 bottles of water. Are 5 bottles of water enough for 13 people? So basically what this is saying here is there enough water if I buy 5 bottles of 2 litres for 13 people? Well, first of all, if I did buy 5 bottles, each bottle is 2 litres. Okay, so 5 times 2 is 10 litres. So if we do that bit first. Sorry, I meant to say feel free to pause the video and have a go at this if you want to before I go through it. So please feel free to do that now. So if she buys 5 bottles, that's how much water she'll have. She'll have 10 litres. Okay. Now it then says that there will be 13 people who want 3 glasses of water each. Okay. So we need to do 13 times 3 because then we know that we need 39 glasses of water. And if we've got 39 glasses of water, we also know that they need to be 250 ml each. So we then need to do 250 times 39, which gives us 9,750 millilitres. Okay, so for all 13 people to have 3 glasses of water each, Leanne will need 9,750 millilitres. Okay, we then just need to turn that into litres. We know that 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres. Here we've got 9,750. So we should be able to tell that that is 9.75 litres. If we're not sure, we can draw our conversion. 1 litre equals 1,000 ml. We can draw our arrows. Times goes at the top, divide goes at the bottom, and we can show that we need to turn this number, this 9,750 mil, which means we're on this side of the diagram, and we want to go to litres, so we need to divide by 1,000. 9,750 divided by 1,000. Remember, that means we go back 3 decimal places, 9.75. If you want to put the O on the end, or the 0, sorry, you can, but there's just no need because it doesn't actually mean anything. So 9.75 litres. Are 5 bottles of water enough for 13 people? Yes, because she's actually got 10 litres and she doesn't quite need 10. She needs 9.75. Okay, I hope that was clear. Let's go on to another question. And that was 5 marks, okay? That was a level 1 question, I believe. Let's have a look at a level 2 question. So even though this is, it looks easier, this is actually from a level 2 paper because you've just got to be very careful with Now, although this one looks a little bit easier, it is from a level 2 paper because you've got to be very careful with the conversions and the way it's worded here. So if you want to have a go, pause the video either now or after I've read it out and then press play to go through it. Zoe prepares some lemonade for the party. She needs to use 3/4 kilogram of sugar. Zoe knows that 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. What is 3/4 kilogram in pounds? show a check for your working. Okay, so this show a check comes up quite a lot. So first of all, let's just go through the question and highlight a little bit. She needs to use 3/4 of a kilogram. 3/4 of a kilogram. Now, it then says that Zoe knows that 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. How do we write down 3/4 of a kilogram? Well, 3/4 of 1 kg, 1 kilo, or 3/4 of 1, okay, can be written as 0.75, can't it? Okay, so it's 0.75 kilograms, because 3/4 is the same as 0.75. Then this is why we need to be very careful. And then what we need to do is convert that into pounds. We only need 0.75 of this 2.2 pounds. Okay, we don't need 1 whole one. So if we write down our conversion, 1 kg equals 2.2 pounds. LBS, that's how we write the shorthand for pounds. And we times at the top and divide at the bottom. We're in kilograms here, 0.75. And we want to get to pounds, so we need to times by 2.2. 0.75 times 2.2. So if we did that, it gives us 1.65 pounds. Okay, we know it will be less than 2.2 because 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. Okay, and we've only got 0.75 of a kilogram. Now, when it says to show a check for your working, what you could do is do the opposite. Because all it's asking you to do, let me change my colour for this. All it's asking you to do when you do a check, you can just work backwards. So here you've shown that 0.75 times 2.2 is 1.65. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1.65 divided by 2.2. 1.65 divided by 2.2, and it gives me 0.75. And that's what we had to start with. Okay, so all you're doing there is a reverse calculation to show that you know you've got the right answer. And that means then you would get all 3 marks. Okay? Okay, let's do another one. Back to level 1. This one's not too bad, and you get 4 marks for this one. Marta works at the beach office. She needs to buy a new surfboard for the lifeguards. The surfboard must be 6 feet in length. Marta uses this formula to convert feet into meters. Again, if you want to have a go at this, please do. The surfboard must be 6 feet in length. She uses this formula. We take the length in feet, times it by 30, we then divide by 100, and that will give us the length in meters. The question says, what is 6 feet in meters? Okay, so 6 feet, we're going to times that by 30. We're then going to divide it by 100, and that will give us the answer. So 6 times 30, or if you've paused the video and had a go at this, you might already have your answer. 6 times 30, well, 6 times 3 is 18, so 6 times 30 must be 180. And then 180, and we're going to divide by 100 now. Okay. And remember, when we divide by 100, we go back 2 places because there's 2 zeros. And it gives us 1.8 meters. And that's it. You have got, oh, hang on, sorry. You just need to show a check for your working there. So you've only got 3 marks so far. So to show a check, all you're going to do is show a backwards calculation. So before you did, I'm going to change my colour. You did 6 times 30 divided by 100 gives you 1.8. And now what we're going to do instead is we're going to do 1.8 times 100 gives you 180. And then you could do 180 divided by 30, which gives you 6. Putting you straight back at the beginning, and you have shown a reverse calculation, a check for your answer. And you've got 4 marks. Okay. Level 2 then. This one is tricky. Now, let's highlight as we go here. Let's use this one. At the beginning of the week, Fayez writes down the mileage of his limousine. 2,529. Feel like that's not clear, so I'm going to do that again. Okay, there you go. At the end of the week, the mileage is 2,834. Fayez knows he used 75.2 litres of petrol during the week. The handbook states that the limousine uses 1 gallon of petrol for every 20 miles. Okay, 1 gallon of petrol for every 20 miles. Fayez wants to know if his limousine did in fact use 1 gallon of petrol for every 20 miles. Okay. It gives us a conversion here, and we've used this before. 1 gallon equals 4.54 litres. Did the limousine use 1 gallon of petrol for every 20 miles that week? Okay, so let's do that in blue. Pause the video and have a quick go. Take your time, use the conversion that you've been given, and just be very careful. Okay, so what we've got to do first then is we need to work out how many miles he did that week. So his limousine said 2,529, but now it's 2,834. So we need to do 2,834, and we're going to take away 2,529. That gives us 305 miles. Okay, so we know that that week he used 305 miles and he used 75.2 litres of petrol. Okay. Now, we need to work out what that is in gallons because our question involves gallons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my conversion. 1 gallon equals 4.54 litres. Okay, and I'm going to do my arrows, times, divide. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, because I want to change this into gallons. I want to change litres to gallons. So I'm changing litres, which is on this side, to gallons. I will divide by my conversion. Remember, 1 always goes on this side, 1 gallon, and your conversion always goes on this side. So 75.2 divided by 4.54 gives us 16.56 gallons. So we can now say that he drove 305 miles using 16.56 gallons. Now the last thing we've got to do is work out how many miles he drove on 1 gallon. So all we need to do that is divide by 16.56, because here's 16.56 and we want to get to 1. So we just divide this by 16.56 and that gives us a total of 18.4 miles. So, did his limousine use 1 gallon of petrol for every 20 miles? No. His limo uses 1 gallon of petrol for every 18.4 miles. Okay? So I hope that was clear as well, and I hope you got that right. Get used to using those conversions because they'll really help you if you fully understand how to use them. When I say conversions, I mean these, like writing them like this. 1 gallon to so many litres. Always put the 1 here. Okay? All right, the last thing we need to do then is have a quick look at some conversion graphs. These aren't too difficult. I'm sure you'll manage these quite easily. So what we need to do when using a conversion graph, you're usually given a graph and asked to convert. So here it says, what is 15 feet in meters? And all we're going to do is we're going to go up to the 15 in the feet section. We're going to go along the line, oops, not very well, along the line until we hit this line here. And, again, not very well, but go down. You can use your ruler for this. Go down. Now, we can kind of estimate the answer there. I would say 4.5 or 4.6. 4.6 meters. So we can write that in just there, 4.6 meters. Okay. Question 2 says to convert 6 meters into feet. Let's use a different colour. 6 meters. So we go to 6 on the meters section. And this time we go up to the blue line. Okay, and that more or less just sits underneath 20 feet. Okay. Now, this is 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. So I would just say it's 20 feet. They'll give you a range to pick from in the exam. So don't worry about it being dead specific at like 19.9 or something like that. Okay. Question 3, 3.5 meters in feet. 3.5 meters. So again, 3.5 is here. Okay, on the meters section. And we're going to go up. And here we can see that actually it is about halfway between those two lines. So this is 11, and this is 12. So that must be about 11.5. 11.5 feet. Okay. And then the last one, 30 feet in meters. Again, let me see if I've got a different colour, or we could use black this time because it would work. 30 feet in meters. We go up to 30. And we're going to go all the way along this line. And down there. Okay, here's 9.5. So that might be around 9.2, something like that. I'm not going to be able to use black on there, so 9.2 meters. Okay, not bad. So that's quite easy. Okay, I've got another one here for you, so just bear with. So not only do we use conversion graphs when we are discussing measurements, but we also use them when we discuss money. Now, before France joined the Eurozone, their currency was the French franc. French francs, okay? So looking at the conversion graph, if you'd like to pause the video, I'm sorry I keep forgetting to tell you to do that. If you'd like to pause the video and try answering these questions, please go ahead and do so. Okay. Okay, so what is £1 worth in francs? So that one's quite an easy one because we can just go up to our line from 1, go up and across. Oh, look, it's 10 francs because the pounds are this side. So £1 is worth, £1 is worth 10 francs. Okay, it used to look a bit like that. Now it then asks you to write this as a conversion factor. How would we write this as a conversion factor to use again later? So remember what I said about conversion factors. It's when we write it with the 1 at the front. 1 equals 10 francs. £1 equals 10 francs. Okay. It then asks you what is £24 in francs. Now we can't use the conversion graph because it only goes up to 6. Okay. So what we can do though is use our conversion factor that we wrote down. So I know that if £1 is worth 10 francs, I can do my times and my divide. And if I'm in pounds, I'm on this side, and I want to go to francs, so I'm going to times by my conversion factor, which is 10. So 24 times 10 is 240 francs. Okay? Nice. Not too bad. Okay. All right, one last one. Here we're converting miles to kilometres. Okay? So again, pause the video, use the graph and answer the questions. I'm sure you've got it now and you'll be able to work these out on your own. Okay, if you've had a go, what is 40 kilometres in miles? So here's my kilometres section. So I go up from my 40 all the way up. Again, you can use your ruler, be easier. Okay, and across here to 25. So that's 25 miles. Then it asks what is 10 miles in kilometres. So this is our miles side. So we go up to 10, across to our line and down. And you can see that that's actually about 16 kilometres. Finally, it asks you to convert 200 kilometres to miles. Okay, what I'm going to do is I can't use the graph just on its own. I will have to use some measurements from it, but not all. So I know that 25 goes into 200. So I'm going to go to 25 kilometres instead and see what that is. Oops, sorry. So I'm going to go from 25, I'm going to go up to my line. And as you can see, it's about there, which is 16. So 25 kilometres equals 16 miles. Okay? Now, 25 goes into, I'm going to times that by 4, because that will give me 100 kilometres. So if I times this by 4, it gives me 68 miles. Oh, sorry, 64 miles. Sorry about that. Okay, so 64 miles. And then if I times it by 2, that'll give me the 200 kilometres I need. And if I times this by 2, it gives me 128 miles. Okay, so again, they will be expecting you to use the conversion graphs to work out bigger values, which you will then have to, you'll have to scale them up. So find whatever value is on the graph and then scale up like this. Okay? Okay, so I think we have covered everything in there. We've learned some units of measure that you need to know by heart. And I really hope that you've understood what these look like and what they actually mean. So your millimetres to centimetres, centimetres to metres, and metres to kilometres, and so on. And we've used these measurements to convert between measurements. So we've gone from millimetres to centimetres, and vice versa. We've gone from litres to millilitres and grams to kilograms. We've also learned about units of measure that you will be given in the exam, such as gallons, miles, kilometres, different currencies. And you've used these to convert between measurements as well, along with using the conversion graphs. So I hope you got a lot out of that lesson. There will be another lesson shortly based on conversion and a Q&A session from one of my students who, had some questions about this lesson. So hopefully I'll be putting that up soon and you can see if any of your questions might have come up in that session. Okay? Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for using Cubit Education, and I really hope to see you next time.